Welcome back to the green yard. We're over in the pool part of the green yard here, and I can't believe it, but it's already been 1 year since we put this Redland white sapote in the ground. The tree has been doing absolutely amazing, really putting out a whole bunch of new growth. It's put on a lot of size too since it was planted 1 year ago. And we're gonna go through a few things that I've noticed in the last year and some hopes that I have for the future. We're gonna talk about the ever-changing microclimate that it's gonna be having here. We're gonna talk about winter protection as well as summer protection for this tree. And then lastly, we're gonna talk about watering and feeding in the last year and how I've been able to get it to just put on so much growth in the last year. So let's go ahead, let's get started, and let's talk about 1 year in the ground with our Redlands white sapote. Here we go. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about with this Redland white sapote is kind of this microclimate, because it has been changing and it's actually going to change a lot this year, which is kind of going to be an interesting change for the tree itself. So we have our key lime tree here, which has been doing very well, putting out a whole bunch of new growth. This tree is definitely staying here. It ended up being about 20 feet by the end of last year, and I trimmed it down to the size it is right now, which is much more manageable. Also on this side, we have our navel orange tree, which has been flowering and fruiting. It has put on a lot of growth actually and a lot of size in the last year. Went from being about 5 feet tall to now it's about 8 at the height, and that's after being pruned too. So I have been pruning this tree, bringing it down, and it is gonna stay about that 8-foot high range or so. So it's definitely gonna get some shade in the summer from both of these trees. Now the big thing though, and the big change that we're gonna have, is this last year it got shade from our giant ice cream bananas. These bananas here have been shading this tree this whole time, and I'm actually working on taking these ice cream bananas out. They just don't, they got too big for the space that I planted them in. They're only planted in about 2 feet of dirt between concrete and this wall here, and so I am taking them out. I actually already took a whole bunch out in other parts, and I've kind of left these here. So it's going to be interesting seeing how, because this is the western side here, so it's going to be interesting seeing how our Redlands white sapote does no longer having any afternoon shade from these ice cream bananas. I personally think it's going to be doing fine. I've seen several white sapotes that get afternoon sun, pretty much all day afternoon sun, including at Ed's yard when we did one of our green yard tours. Definitely check that out. But that white sapote did great. They seem to act more like citrus, where after the first year they do okay with that afternoon shade, or I'm sorry, afternoon sun. So I'm probably gonna have to shade it this year once I take all these bananas out, but it should do fine and make it through. So this tree has been putting on a lot of new growth. It actually had 4 different times last year where it flushed out, and the flushes are really beautiful because they're kind of this reddish, brownish, brand new leaves that come out in these big flushes, and then they turn this, obviously this darker green color. But these flushes have been pretty big. I actually even went in and I trimmed. I'm trying to get a better shape for the tree for the future. So I actually went in and I trimmed some of these branches, especially some of the lower branches, trimmed right here to kind of get a better shape for the tree overall. But I've been seeing a lot of really great new growth coming out, and it seems to be putting out new growth multiple times per year, which is really amazing to see. I haven't mulched this since I planted it, which it definitely could use some new mulch. Actually, all of our trees here could use some new mulch, but I would like to go in and mulch this guy, get him some new mulch. Some things I have been doing though is I have been giving it fish emulsion once a month. So just like our other trees, I do go in generally after we get our flood irrigation. I go in and I do give it that fish emulsion just to feed the tree, make sure that we get some positive growth on here, get some nutrients back into the soil. And then I would like to go in and mulch this guy again, really try to build up the soil, because this soil, like when we planted it, I mentioned it, this wasn't under any mulch like over in the food forest part of the green yard. This soil is just straight Arizona clay dirt that we have. And so it definitely could use some additional help besides the amendments that we made when we planted this tree. So we talked a little bit about my summer protection, right? We have those big ice cream bananas that are going away this year, but they have been there. That's really been its summer protection. But what about winter protection? So what I ended up doing is I did put down some C9 Christmas light bulbs, those big Christmas light bulbs that I use on my other trees when cold protecting. And I did turn it on a couple times when we hit that 28-degree mark for that cold overnight. Really a warmer winter this year. We didn't have a cold winter like we have the last couple. Much warmer, much drier this year. And so while I did turn on those C9 Christmas light bulbs, that external heat source, I did not cover this tree. It got no frost fabric, no anything else. This is a much colder part of the green yard than over by the food forest part of the green yard that has a much better microclimate over there. This one regularly hits that 28-degree mark during our winters. And so it's really great to see that it did so well hitting that 28-degree mark without any sort of protection, frost protection, that frost fabric over top. It just had a little bit of external heat from those C9 Christmas light bulbs. But as we talked about before, those C9 Christmas light bulbs do so much better in producing that heat and definitely holding in that heat when they have that frost fabric kind of box around them. I'm excited for this tree to do well this year. I have a feeling even with taking out its summer protection, those ice cream bananas, it is going to thrive this summer. I don't see any flowers or anything. I know this is usually the time of year where our white sapotes will flower, is in the late spring, mid to late spring, and then usually we get fruit in the fall. Mid to late fall is how it usually works for our white sapotes. So probably no flowers this year. Obviously, if we do end up getting some flowers, I will definitely post a short and update everybody on that. But I'm hoping for flowers in the next couple years. I think this tree will definitely flower and give me some fruit soon. If you guys have any questions about any of our fruiting or flowering trees here in the green yard, please feel free to comment below. If you have any additional questions about our white sapote, make sure to comment below as well. And of course, like and subscribe for some more awesome green content. I am so excited to do another yearly update video on this tree next year. Hopefully it's doubled in size like it did this year, and we start to see some flowers and fruit. We've been focusing a little bit less on the green yard in the past couple months and a little bit more on our tours. So if you haven't already, make sure to go and check out our Peru Huerta tour series, where we go and we see these amazing edible urban paradises in Peru, both in Lima, and then Ica, Peru is going to come out here shortly. The Cusi Huerta in Lima, Peru. And then also check out New Roots Community Garden in San Diego. We just put out a green yard tour of this amazing edible paradise that is in City Heights, California, right outside of San Diego. So make sure to check that out. And of course, as always, make sure to live green, plant lots, and have fun. We'll see you all next time.